Hello friends, my name is Rian, your tech maestro at Azure Pulse. Welcome to our YouTube channel. In our last session, we have learned how we can create multiple virtual machines using Kaun meta argument. And in today's session, we will learn for his meta argument. So even in today's session as well, we will learn how we can create multiple virtual machines and other resources with it with the help of Forest. So first of all, we need to understand the difference between cone and a forest and when to use cone and when to use forest because cone and forest they works very similarly, right? Whenever you want to create multiple resources, you can use one of them. You can use cone or forest, but they works in different ways. They work based on they have some use cases. Like now, it is important for us to understand when to use cone and when to use forest. Okay, all right. So let's say if you want to create a fixed number of resources based on a given parameter, you can use count. For example, if you want to create 10 virtual machines with one configuration file, with one, let's say, identical VM basically, let's say, okay, if you want to create the identical VM, you can use, it has a fixed number, right? 10 means you are specific, you have mentioned count is equal to 10. So that means 10 virtual machine that is identical virtual machines will be created. Not just virtual machine, any resources will be created, but it should be identical. So if you have this kind of requirement where you want to create 20 virtual machines and with a similar configuration or same configurations, then count is the best. So, but if you want to create resources based on a dynamic set of values, let's say I want to have some unique in the my server name, VM name, or maybe I want to have some particular specific VM should be deployed to or created to specific regions, or maybe I want specific server name should be with specific SQs. So in this kind of requirement, when you have right, you will be using Forest. Okay, so you will get to see in the project wherever you write in the project, right? In any of the company, you get to see 99% of the time they will be using forest meta argument itself because it has a compared to the forest, I mean count, it has a advanced configurations you can do changes, whatever you can do. So it's the best way, right? Fine. Now we will try to understand the resource meta argument forest. Some of the keynotes, right? Such as if a resource or module block includes for each argument whose value is a map or set of strings, Terraform will create one instance for each member of that map or set. Each instance is a distinct infrastructure object associated with it, and each is separately created, updated, and destroyed when the configuration is applied. And in the block where each for each is set, an addition each object is available in expression so you can modify the configuration of each instance. So is the key the map key or set members corresponding to the instance. Is the value the map value corresponding to the instance. If a set was provided, this is the same as is dot key. And if you see on the right side, for set of strings, we can have some we can use such as is dot key is equal to is dot value. So let's say when I use the set of strings to set, we can use is dot key, sorry, for is to set, and let's say because this is a set of strings, right? We can use a whenever, just keep in mind, whenever you want to use anything that like a set of strings, you can always use a square bracket in between. Okay, this square bracket, then the name string. Okay, because it has an individual string value, right? So yeah, if you want to call by the name now, if you see here, is the key. It will be name. Another one also is the key. Okay, we can use this way. So this is again depends on your requirement or use cases you'll be using one of them. And if you want to, let's say for maps, we can use is the key and is the value. So whenever I want to use the like maps, right? You have to use the for each map we can use such as like that. Like this is your key and this is a value. So if you want to, when I say is the key, it will be called this depth name will be called reference. And if you want to reference the web 1, you can use is the value because this is a map, right? So key and value. And if you basically the module support for is was added in Terraform, that is 0.13. Okay, and we need to keep in mind is that in your Terraform configuration you will not be able to define or use together, in the sense you cannot use count and forest together. Okay, you can use different configuration, but if you want to use within the same this thing, you will not be able to use count and a forest together. Now this is one of the use cases using forest maps. Okay, so what we are going to do is that use meta argument for is with maps to create multiple resource groups using single resource. So using single resource with the help of for is with maps, you need to create multiple resource groups. Okay, so what we can do is this you will define first as norm default. You will define the block type, and then you will be define the resource type and reference name or local name. Then if you see here, we have defined each dot key, sorry, for each, and then whenever I use a curly braces, right? So curly braces will be used whenever you are actually using a map, map of strings, right? Or maps. That time we can use a curly braces. And when I use the square bracket, whenever I use, I mean, when I have to use the square bracket, if there is something that set of strings you need to refer or reference, that time you can use just I mean, you can use the square bracket. But in our case, this is basically the key and value, right? So we are using mapping, right? So that is why we will use the, this is like a map of, this is a map, right? Map of string. So in map, we can use curly braces. And if you see here, define for is with map, the key value. So this is a key and this is a value. Now this is a name, mean this is group name. If you want to know dollar sign, then calibrated dot key, because this, if you mention, like I mentioned, I'll be using map, right? That is why calibrations I'm using it dot rj. So now I'm using now is dot key for resource group name. Key, how key? Because I want to mention the resource group, because this is about resource group, right? So name of the resource group should be this one. Second resource group should be this one. Third resource group should be these three apps, like that. Okay, so whatever name you're giving, at the last it will be RGM. Now, if I want to mention or each resource group, if you see here, they are into different resource group, right? Sorry, region, right? So you can call them by with the help of is dot value, because this is a value. Key on the left side is the key, on the right side is your value. Okay, so I can call by value because I want to refer I want to reference the locations. I hope this is clear. Now we will understand the set of strings. So here another use case we have like argument for use with set of strings to create multiple resource group using single resources. This is similar other. This is a set of strings. So again here you will define the block type and the resource type and then local name. And for is I given again, and I mentioned this time to set. Okay, in to set, if you see here, because it is a set of string, like I mentioned, whenever you want to use a set of strings, you will have to use this square bracket. Okay, and if you want to use the map, you will use the curly braces. Square bracket I'll be using now because I'll have a set of strings, because there's no any value, only key, right? So what I'll do now here, basically key, this only set of strings, only the strings, set of strings. There is no any map or anything. So what I'll do now, I will have to give the resource group name. Okay, what I do is the value for the resource group. Is the value means whatever region I have mentioned here, right? Means it will be a resource group name with first name, and whatever name is you can define in your case, and the location should be again is the value key. I mean, okay, use is the key for resource group locations. Like you can have like such as is the key is equal to is the value and such as now fine. Now what we'll do, so we have understood about the set of strings and maps. We will try to give some demo now, just maybe. Now what I have done here is that I'm going to create three virtual machines now. Okay, if you see, I'm going to create three virtual machines, and I have defined my for is here I have defined a, because what I want to do is that I want to create three virtual machines with different SQs. So I have defined in variable my SQ, what's the VM name I want, and also what is the configuration or maybe the SQ I want it. I have defined in my variable file. Let me show you here. This is a variable. I want it variable. This is a variable file. If you see here, okay. First, let me go one by one better. I think first we'll go the network so that it's easy for you to read it. So for network part, what I did was I created the BNet, one BNet I created and one subnet I created, and then one I want to create, like I mentioned, I have three VMs, right? So I have to create three VM. So what I did was I again use a forest so that I can, and I took the variable from my BMSQ because what I want, why I use that one, because I want to have the NIC card, in the sense the NIC card name should be unique per BMs. It should be, if what I want is that BM name should be, sorry, the NIC name should be BM name, at the last it will be NIC 01. This is a naming standard I want to keep. Okay. This is again depends on the project to project or company to company, it varies. But in my case, normally what I use that we use the BM name first. At the last, it will be a NIC, so it will be easy to identify. And now, and now this is good now. Like I mentioned, I have three BMs, so I will be having three NIC card in place based on the naming standard what I define in variable file. So first, so I mean, go so I mean meanwhile I'll show others as well. Then IP address as well. So before that, I will show the variable what I define the BM's variable, right? So this is again optional. You may require or not, depends on your use cases or your need. Okay, you can define like this, or you can define the resource group variables or locations and BNet variables and applications name if you need, and also the SQ. This is what I was saying. SQ I have defined in variable, so BM SQ I mentioned as a specify SQ per BM. So like I mentioned, I have three virtual machines, and each virtual machine will have different SQ, right? If you see here, they have different SQ. Now, how are you going to create different SQ, basically different SQ based on what you define here in the Terraform, right? So that is why I use a type S map in variable file. I define the BMSQ and the type S map so that the default value should be BM name should be this name, and for this particular BM name, this is the SQ. Second BM name should be this is the SQ, and third BM name must be this SQ. Okay, so fine. Now we have understood how we have defined the SQ variable. Now same thing. Now is name what you see the BM name. I want to have the some naming standard for others, let's say public IP address or NIC, everything, right? So that is why I'm using this variable almost everywhere, so that I can use the same naming standard. Like it should be BM name at last NIC. Example, now if you go with NIC, if you see the NIC card, NIC card, right? I use the for is and I reference the variable that is my SQ, I mean BMSQ. And if you see the name of the NIC name, first whatever name is there, the VM name, at the last it will be NIC. If BM2, it will be BM2, and at the last it will be NIC, like that, 01. And then this all remains same. And then we have it same thing, IP configuration. Under NIC we have some properties where I also want to maintain same naming standard. So that is why I use again same here. Is the key. Then IPv4. Then subnet ID. So I have only one subnet ID, so I have refer with the subnet ID. So if you want, you can check subnet ID how I got. If you see here, Azure RM subnet, you see Azure RM subnet, and this is a local name. And here you can see, because this is a subnet ID dot ID. You can if you see here, each resource will have their subnet, I mean their ID, right? So I'm referencing with the ID name itself. All right. Now this is good. Now we have to understand of the public IP address. So in our case, we have three virtual machines. So I need to have three public IP address as well, so that I can access to the server. So I need to create three public IP address, and also I need to attach those three public IP address to the specific NIC card or NIC. So how I can do that one? First thing, I'm going to create a public IP address. So I have created a public IP address. This is the again the naming standard. Again, I'm using the same as the whatever I have the server name, it will be the same. At the last, it will be public IP 01. Okay. So again, I kept the same naming standard based on the project's requirement, let's say. And I'm using the same resource group, and location should be same resource group location, and rest remains same. Then network related. Then I'm going to define the network interface also. I mean the NIC, not NIC, NSG, network security group. Okay. So I have defined again here also. This is for this thing. Now we are good with the network part, and then variable part also we are good. We have defined so many others as well, like your data disk also. Like I have three VMs, so I want to have each VM I should have a different data disk, right? So in this case, what I'm doing is that I have defined in my variable files for data disk. I have used this one map objects. Okay, I use type as maps object, and then default value. Let's say for the first VM, it should be a this is the size I need, that is a 5 GB, and some second VM I need 10 GB of size data disk, and the third VM I need a 10 GB of size. So again, this is depends on the use cases. So I'm just taking one of the real use cases so that it will be easy for every one of you to understand better, right? So fine. So I have defined the SQs, sorry, data disk size also based on the requirement. So basically, I want to have different SQ per PMs. All right. Now is your resource group. Resource group is nothing much here. Normal resource group we have it. Then output also, if you want, you can define. In my case, I didn't do much, but normally it is recommended. And yeah, local we have. I have defined my port basically here. If you see here, okay, I have exported a particular port. 30. This particular, I'm going to use it in my energy here. Now this is, you can ignore this one. This is for another purpose I'm using it. And this is the credential. All right, now backend I have. The backend also I am using a backend. The reason why I'm using backend is because whatever configuration basically I provision the infrastructure, right? Once it has been successfully deployed to cloud, now let's say you're working in a team now, right? If you don't have the backend, right? Terraform backend, what happens now? The Terraform state file, it will be downloaded in your local system itself. So other person cannot do any changes and they can't do any modification. So, and also if you lost your state file, it is also one of the biggest risks, and also security concern, right? That is why it is always best practice to use backend. What we do here, backend basically the state file, it will be stored somewhere in your centralized location. So when it comes to the Azure, we can store in a storage account. If you're going with the AWS, maybe the state file can be stored in your S3, S3 for this thing, and for and DynamoDB for a locking. Okay, so that is why It is important for us to, so what I'll do, I have my Terraform resource group. This is the Terraform, sorry, not Terraform, the resource group, and this is the storage account. Same thing I have already updated here. This is the resource group of my storage account, and this is the storage account name. This is the storage account name, and container name is, if you go here, container name, you can see here. Once you go inside container name, this is a container name, you go inside, and what name you want, basically key. Key is nothing but just what is the state file name you want to give it. It's a Terraform.tfstate. This is the state file name you want to give it, right? So same thing you can see here. Now this is our file, we have it. Okay. What I'll do now first, I will have to, because the state file is generated because I have already tried before these comments. That is why I was just checking whether if everything works fine. Okay, so this is how we need to configure. So I can just give one space here. Okay, I will save this first. Okay, now I hope this is a clear team. So I have now you understood how the configuration has been done. And additional things also, like we have a ability set. If you want to configure, you can define ability set, then proximity placement group, and also this basically for now it will not be created. I hashed out this one for now because it will be unwanted. Okay, now for now, if you want, you can use it. And that then we have it. What is that? I want to create a data disk, right? Because is virtual machines, I need to create the data disk, right? So I have three servers, so I need to have a three data disk in place. Or maybe it is depends on again your use cases. If you need, you can. If not, you can ignore it. But normally, it is always good to understand how we can attach the data disk, how we can de-attach, how we can assign the size for specific, you know, uh, let's say 10 GB, 20 GB, whatever size. Okay. So it is always good to understand and know. So in my case, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a storage account. Sorry, not storage account, database account. Okay. And name should be, if you see here, data disk size. So name, whatever name, how the name I want. If you see here, data disk size. Again, I'm taking for this I use because I'm going to create three data disks and I have defined a variable that is from a data dot disk. So if I go to this variable data dot disk, I can check. I will see what we have data dot disk, right? Let's see, data dot disk. I have it. The this is a default map of object. Okay. Then if you see the first server that is a 1500 will be having 5 GB and this is the name. And second server is another name and this is data disk like that. So on the right side it will be key. This is the key. If you want to refer the name of the disk, you can call with this name, and this is the value. Okay, what I'll do for now, I'm going to, yeah. So is dot for is, okay, for is dot value dot name. Okay, whatever name I have, it will be refer that one, and location same as my resource group locations and the same resource group name. And you can ignore this one. This is basically I was trying to do how we can create resources which is existing in your cloud already. Okay, you don't want to manage in Terraform, but then you want to use specific resources. So I have tried that out, so it works fine. So, but I just kept like that so that I can, it will be useful for me in future. Okay, now we need to basically this all remains same. Okay, now we need to understand after creating that basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to first create three data disks and also I'm going to attach this one. Okay, you have to attach to where you attach to the VM, right? So how I can do again, if you see here, Azure RM virtual machine data disk attachment. I need to use this one on this. Okay, then whatever name I want to give local name. So now I need to refer this one. It will be, the set of strings. So I'll be using the what I call that square bracket. So whenever I want to call anything string or list of strings, whatever is there or this, you can use the what you call square bracket. Okay. Then once we have attached this one, we also have diagnostic storage account in place. So you can check this also. And if you want to create the local entities workspace, you can create that also. Okay, there are so many other things also, but I have ignored for now. You don't have to. Okay. So all right. So for now we are good. So we have understood how we can configure the backend as well. So backend I have showed you already. First, now let's see the final one. That is your VM configuration. So VM name, like I mentioned, the in SQ I have defined the VM name is the key, whatever name I have defined here. So it will be referenced from there. And this is the default again. The location should be default, it should group all default. And the NIC card, because again this is a we have like I mentioned three we have NIC card, right? And so this is again a list of string. So what I have to do again, I am using a, if you see here NIC, this is a default till here. If you how I can use, if you want to know, you can maybe check NIC. Let me show you once. Now when to go to network, sorry, network. If you see here, NIC name here, Azure RM network interface. If you go Azure RM network interface, okay, Azure RM network interface, and this is your local name dot NIC 01. This is your local name. Okay, this is your local name. And now till here we have, like I mentioned, we are going to have three nick card, right? So that is why we have to just list of string. So list of string, what I do, what I'm doing is now here I'm using the square bracket. Okay, then is dot key dot id. Okay, and then we have a size. What is the size you need? Size, what size if you see here, this is basically BM size. Is dot value. Is dot value, how it will be referenced? It will be referenced from SQ because you have defined in a variable. So let's see what is the SQ for each server. So is dot key, if you see, sorry, BM SQ, right? In your variable file, if you go variable file, let me show you in a variable file, BM SQ. See here, the first BM SQ, this will be the SQ, and second BM SQ would be this one, and third BM SQ would be this one. Okay, so it will be referencing from with the help of your variable SQ BM SQs. Okay, so fine, this is good now. Now same thing, this also will be referencing from your local variable username password. If you see username password, I have already defined local username here. Okay, username and password I have defined here already. Fine. Now what is left? So rest remains same, and here is another thing. OS disk, right? If you want to change the OS disk based on the VM name, you can have this kind of naming standard, because these all are taking with the key. On the right side is a key, on the left side, sorry, on the right side, on the left side is your key, on the right side is a value. So I want to key the server name, that is located, server name is located in your left side, so it will be a referencing particular server name. Okay, and then this name and whatever configuration, I mean the SQ you have defined here. And I have disabled this one ability set ID because I have disabled basically this SQ, I mean this abilities ability set. In your case, if you want, you can use that as well. Anyway, I will make different video on others as well, because there are many things to learn. But for you maybe it's difficult now to understand. But yeah, as we learn slowly, no, we will try to understand other as well. So for now, what we will do, we will try to run this Terraform commands. So Terraform init, I think I have to save first. Now fine. So now this is good. Now Terraform. Sorry, Terraform. I will directly go with the plan. It is planning right now. So let's wait. Okay. Yeah, it is done. So what I'll do now, I will first plan Terraform. Sorry, Terraform apply auto auto upload. So I will have to wait for some times. So let's wait. Meanwhile, I will show you the things why I don't have anything right now. I'll just resource group. I only have one resource group. If you see here. Okay, now it is being created now. Resource group. I think it is being okay. It is being created now. Resource group. I can see here. I can show you how the resource group. I can show you maybe in my um, resource group, right? If you see here, this is the resource group I have defined. HT dep RG. HT dep RG. If you go inside, now many resources are being created now. It is maybe, oh, it is successfully created. So it is successfully created. So if you see here total how many resources, there are so many resources are created now. So you see here, first we are going with the one by one. So what we are going to do, okay, first we will see how many virtual machines. Like I mentioned, I have three virtual machines, right? So I have say three. I have in this particular resource group, I have three virtual machines in place. What is the this is a 15, 18, 19. So let's see. If I see my variable file, in my variable file, I have it. See here, 15, 19, 18. Okay, 15, 18, 19. All three are available. Now let me confirm the SQ. Now the 15 SQ should be this one. Let me check. You see here size standard. This is for 15, right? Standard DS1 B2. DS1 B2. Same thing for 19. Let's see. Before that, let me show us the NIC car also, NIC car also, because that is important. NIC network. This is the, if you see here, I kept naming standard. If you see what I want naming, I want the server name. At the last, it will be NIC. If you remember, I have basically network, virtual network, right? If you see here is the key, whatever server name at the last NIC 01. So that is what you can see here. Now what we will do is, well, now we have understood this one and the bnet and subnet remain same. You can check. This is the subnet and this is a bnet. This is your bnet, cos bnet 01. Okay, fine. Now what we will do. So fine. So it is okay now. Now we are going to check the second option. Second server. Okay, so we are good with here. We can check the. Oh, just let me refresh maybe. And if I go to my overview of the first one, you will get the public IP address also. And if you go under public IP address, you can check what is name also. So same thing, what is the VM name is there? Same VM name you can see. At the last, it will be my public, sorry, public and IP01. You can check that one, how I can define that one. In your networks, I think network is, where is that? Here. Network is a public IP address, right? So we'll see that. You see here, what I defined was whatever the BM name is there is the key. At the last, it will be this one. So BM name is the 15, 16 like that. So you can see now. Okay, same like that. If you want to give some other naming standard, depends on the project, you can define that way. Not because you will not do everything modification manually, right? You have to define in a variable and based on the company naming standard. They have some naming convention. Based on that, you can plan. Okay. Now we have understood this part. Then energy part, we can see this energy also. Okay, we'll see later energy part. Now I'll show you the second one. So I will directly go. Let's not spend much time here. Resource group and then depth test. This is the resource group we have. Let's show you another one. I'll go to 18 show, right? I want to check the configuration also. I can verify if you want. You can check here. What is that? D2AS B4 18. So if you go with the 18 in your, where is a variable file? Okay, 18 if you see here, 18 is this one, D2AS, D2AS B4. Okay, so that means now it is clear now. You can define based on the requirement. It may change anything, but it is important for us to understand and how we can modify and how we can plan based on that, right? So fine. Now let's go with the fine. This is good now. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to see the data disk now because in, let me go with the maybe the last server 19 server. I will see the data disk also. Anyway, it is attached to every single this data disk. See here, this one, this two, this three, this three because this is the last server. Okay, this three attached to here. It got attached by default. Normally it not be attached. If you see the OS disk name also, if you remember OS disk, what I given is that uh, my VM virtual machines OS disk. If you see here OS disk, I given the whatever the VM name is there for with the respective VM name at the last it will be OS disk. So now automatically you can see the name. Or if you have some other naming standard that you can do. So same thing for the data disk. This is the naming standard I kept. So data disk variable, if you see here, see here, data disk I use a map of objects here for 19 server. 19 server I was checking now. This is for 19, yeah. 19 server. What is the size I mentioned? It is for 10 GB. Then 10 GB size I need. Okay. Then name what I want. You can see here. 10 GB I need. Okay. So and if you're going with the first one, it should be on a 5 GB data disk. First one 15. It's a 5 GB data disk. So I will just show you once for the so that we can just confirm it. So I'll go back. I'll go 15. Data disk 15. Okay, 15. I will show the data disk. It should be only 5 GB because in my variable I have defined only 5 GB. You see here 5 GB. You can see the first one. If you see here 5 GB. Okay, for 1500 5 GB. Same thing just to be sure. For 18 I should be 10 GB. Okay, 18 I should be 10 GB. Now let's see. I mean sorry. 18 it should be 10 GB. and you can check other details as well. You can say data 2, and this is the it in whatever name is there, VM name, along with the here it will come the disk name. And here if you 10 GB it this, and the data disk 2. So like that, you can define n number of variables based on your requirements, and you can use if you have a complex requirement, if you where you need to do a lot of changes with your code and all, you can instead of that one, you define the variable, only change in a variable. Okay. If you have this kind of scenario, what you do, you don't have to change entire code. You just modify a variable file. First define what is your requirement, what kind of the project is about. So based on that, you write a variable file and reference the variable file to your actual code. In our case, BM. In my BM or whatever network, everything, I have referred the variable file. Okay, that's how it works. All right. So next, what we can do? What else? Okay, next I will just show you one more. You can see other as well, like you can have a storage account also. I got created. You can check storage account also. Okay, storage account I created. Then we have it public API, NAC card, everything. So basically, whatever you define in your configurations, it will be deployed. So now successfully we have deployed whatever we have defined in Terraform configurations using Forest. We also have seen how the basic the naming standard, right? We can define in the variable file. So that is one of the very useful if you work in the project where you will definitely not be modifying the entire code or changing entire code. You will only be modifying the variable file based on the requirement. You change the variable and update it. Fine. Now these all are good. So all right, my dear friends. So I will try to maybe make another video on similar use cases. So I will try to explain everything in details. For now, it is not possible because it needs a lot of time. So maybe, yeah, I will try. Maybe in the next session, we will see how we can plan about this as well. So meanwhile, I'll try to destroy this one, Terraform destroy. So if I try to destroy now, what happened now by default? If you go to your storage account, not just while destroying, also whenever you're doing any kind of changes in Terraform, right? Basically, you're doing some code in the code, whatever you're doing at that time, what happens in the backend? Just let me show you once. See here, if you see your Terraform state file, it is by default, it is a list now. List is nothing but it will be in the now it is be running, right? So this will be listed now. That means other person cannot do any changes right now. They cannot apply any changes or modify anything. Modify in the sense they cannot apply the this thing, run the Terraform commands. Okay, it will be list. So once it is successfully destroyed, then only it will be available state. For now, it is a list state. Okay. So all right, my dear friends. So let's wrap up the sessions here. So I look forward to see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Have a nice day.